Okay, I think I'm going to start. There's a lot of learners who can't attend this afternoon due to other commitments, but I'm going to do the question and I'm going to record and then I will send it. This question, I hope that you guys did the question up front. It's on interpretation of financial information. I'm going to read with you through the question first, and I want to explain to you a few things on how to answer these type of questions. Denzel Kraus was appointed as the Chief Financial Officer. Um, it's also asked in the task, what is a Chief Financial Officer? On a 2-year contract, which will be reviewed on 31st of August, he is also a shareholder in Venus Limited. It's important that you read this and understand that the business books that we are going to do is it's Venus Limited, and Denzel is a chief financial officer, but he's also a shareholder. The note where comments or explanations are required, you should quote financial indicators and trends with figures. So it's a financial indicator, a trend, it means increase, decrease with figures. You must give a reason or an explanation for the financial indicators quoted. Okay, let's start with 3.1. Choose the correct word from those given in brackets. Write only the word next to the question numbers in the answer book. These type of questions, you have to answer them. Even if you are unsure of the answer, then you choose one and you record an answer on your answer book, because you can't lose marks for these types of questions because you didn't give an answer. Okay, effective control of expenses in the business is a reflection of risk or profitability. So the better you control your expenses, the more profit you will make. So it is a reflection of profitability. When a company is liquidated, the shareholders' liability will be limited, unlimited, as they will not be held responsible for company debts. We know shareholders, they have limited liability in a company. They can't lose their own property or their private assets. They can only lose the money that they've invested in the company. Solvency or liquidity is the ability of the business to pay off all its debts using existing assets. So solvency, it's about all our assets. Liquidity, it's short-term liabilities. So while we are busy with liquidity, the next question is on liquidity. The liquidity position of the company has improved. Quote 2 financial indicators with figures to support this statement. I'm going to show you this. It's important, grade 12s, that you know which ratios is under the liquidity section. So liquidity, it means will you be able to pay your short-term liabilities, your creditors, your the loan, the short-term part of the loan, and the overdraft. So when you look at this page, you will see the green current ratio, asset test ratio. There's two ways in which you can calculate the asset test ratio. The stock holding period versus the stock turnover rate, debtors and creditors. Those 6 liquidity ratios you must know. So when you look at your non-current assets, you will find the inventory, your stock. So your stock ratios, your 2 stock ratios, these two stock ratios, they will be part of liquidity. You will find your debtors in your current assets. You will find your creditors in your current liabilities. And you will find your cash and cash equivalents. So your cash and cash equivalents, they are part of liquidity. So if this question then says, let me just get this one. Sorry, the question paper. I don't want the, sorry. on the question paper. There we go. If the question, you must read carefully. The liquidity position of the company has improved. In other words, you can't quote figures that shows that the liquidity of position of the company, that it's not in a better position than it was in the previous year. So now you go to your liquidity ratios. They say, quote, two financial indicators with figures to support this statement. So let's go down to our financial indicators. And we just said we will have, let me see. So if we talk about liquidity, current ratio, asset test ratio, debtors collection, creditors payment. Do you see any other liquidity ratios? The other two, we said it is on stock turnover rate, and number of days available. I don't see those ratios. So you can only quote two of this, 4 ratios. So can you see, you must know the 4 liquidity ratios, the 6 liquidity ratios, because they didn't give you the names of the ratios. You have to identify it by yourself. Okay, so and make sure this is 2024 and this is 2025. So in 2024, our current assets in ratio to our current liabilities, it was 0.3 to 1, which is not good. It means we have less assets for every 30 or every 1 rand of current liabilities. We had 30 cents of current assets. That's not good. So now in 2025, it increased to 1.6 to 1. So now for every 1 rand of current liabilities, we have 1 rand 60 current assets, which is good. So we can quote this one. Okay. Then we look at the asset test ratio. Remember, asset test ratio, it's without stock. It means that if we don't sell our stock, will we still be able to pay our current liabilities? So in 2024, it was 0.1 to 1. For every 1 rand of liability, we have 10 cents of assets. It was not good. We won't be able to pay our liabilities. In 2025, it's 0.8 to 1. It is still, we will still struggle, but it's better. It's an improvement. Then we go to our debtors. In 2024, they took 43 days to pay us. And now in 2025, it's only 36 days. So what is the ideal period that we want our debtors to pay us? We want them to pay us within 30 days. So this is an improvement from 43 to 36 days. Now if we look at creditors payment, in 2024 it was 63 days, in 2025 it's still 63 days. There's no change, so we cannot say the creditors payment period, there was an improvement. So you will not be able to quote this one because it's not an improvement. Let's look at the marking guideline. Can you guys still see? Chanel, can you still see the screen? Okay, Chris, you must answer me. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, let's carry on with 3.2 liquidity. Financial indicators, I want to indicate to you how they're going to mark it. So they're going to give you a mark for, let's go there, sorry. They will give you a mark for current ratio. Mark there. Figures and trends. So you will have to say improve or increase with figures to get that. Another mark there. If you only give figures or only say improve or increase, you will not get that second mark, okay? Nowadays, you don't have to say from this. You can only say to 1,621. And now if you say by, so where do they get this 1,3? It's the difference between 1,6 and 0,3. But please, guys, you can't only write 1,3. They will not give you a mark for that. It's by 1,3 to 1. Okay? Then the next one is your asset test ratio. We saw that. And the debtors collection. So if you only quote the financial indicators, you will only earn 2 marks. But if you give a figure, the figure's there, with a trend, then you will earn another mark. Okay, so now what I want you to remember, sometimes an increase is not necessarily an improvement. So it is better for you to only, do this. I would say use the word increase instead of improved, because sometimes a decrease is also an improvement. So I will recommend rather use the words increase or decrease than using the word improved. And then important, do not accept creditors' payment. That's what we just said, no? Okay, let's go to the next part. Is there any question on liquidity? Remember now, this is not only a lesson for me to explain to you. You must ask me questions. No? So if there's something you want to ask, please, I can't see if you raise your hand. So just unmute yourself and then you just ask a question, okay? Okay, dividend payout policy. Okay, what's important regarding dividends that we need to know? We have a profit, no? Okay, this profit. Whose money is the profit? The profit is divided into 3 groups. The one is the SARS. You don't have a choice, you have to pay SARS, finish and clear. Then the rest of the profit, the directors, they choose what do they want to do with the remaining part of the profit. So they will divide it into dividends that's paid out to the shareholders, and the rest they will keep back in the company as retained income. And why do we have retained income? Businesses want to expand, they want to buy new assets, so they retain a part of the profit for the business. Okay, so now what do they ask here? They ask the dividend payout policy. So what does dividend payout policy means? It means what part of the remaining profit is paid out as dividends to the shareholders. Okay, so remember we said the profit is divided between SARS, shareholders in the form of dividends, and the rest it's kept by the business as retained income. So now they ask calculate the dividend payout rate for the year ended 28 February. Okay, so let's go to our formula sheet and let's see how do we calculate dividend payout rate. Okay, let me just do this. I'm a bit stupid with this pen again. Okay, so there's a dividend payout rate. That is the one that you normally see in your textbook. They take the dividends per share, they divide it by the earnings per share. Then there's this second option. It's not asked a lot in previous papers, so we think that you might see this option this year in question papers. They take the total dividends for the year, divided by the net income after tax, multiplied by 100. Okay, remember this is a rate, and a rate is a percentage, therefore it's multiplied by 100. Okay, so dividends, we get interim dividends and we get final dividends. So if you have to calculate the dividends per share, it's not asked in this paper. Then there's dividends per share, that's if there's no change in the number of shares during the year, you use this first option. If they issue new shares or they bought shares back, you use this option. For interim dividends per share plus final dividends per share, that will give you your total dividends per share. Okay, but that's not part of this question paper. What's part of this question paper is the dividend payout rate. In other words, what percentage of the total earnings is paid out to the shareholders? Okay, let's see. Now question paper. Okay, let's go down on our question paper. Okay, let's. So you remember now what's the formula, ne? Okay. So where do we see something about dividends? There's dividends per share. Let's do this. Oh, sorry. Dividends per share, earnings per share, dividend payout rate. Okay, so in this case, let's see which formula are we going to use. We're going to use this first one here. This dividends per share divided by earnings per share. Okay. So the dividends per share, it is 55 cents divided by 51 cents. Oh, what happened here? So they had 51 cents available as earnings. And that 51 cents, normally we divide that 51 cents, sorry. You can divide that 51 cent. 51 cent. Some of it must go to the dividends and the rest will be retained income. But now that 51 cent, they paid out 55 cents, which is more than 51 cents. So where did the company get the other 4 cents that they paid out? Remember, they earned 51 cents, they paid 55 cents. So where did they get the other 4 cents? Okay, let's look what happened in 2024. In 2024, the earnings 58, dividends 35 cents. So they didn't pay out the whole 58 cents. They've kept back 23 cents. Okay, so of that retained income of the previous years, 4 cents of the retained income of the previous years, it's part of this 55 cents. Okay, so let's look what they say here. 55 is the dividends divided by 51, which is the earnings per share multiplied by 100, which is 107.8%. You must please be aware of this now. From 2026, if the answer is 107.78, and on your question paper it says you must round off to 1 decimal. You have to round off to 1 decimal. Okay. Please, this is not 108. I know we like to say, but 0.8 we can round it off to 108. Okay, but this you cannot round off the 8.8 to the next to 107 because the question paper states clearly you must round off to 1 decimal. Okay, why don't they accept 1.07? They didn't multiply by 100. Okay. Explain why the directors decided to change the policy. Give one reason. Now remember, they changed the policy last year. Sometimes they ask you to explain the change. Last year they've paid out 60.3%. This year they've paid out 107.8%. So in this case it's 1 valid point, 2 marks or nothing. The company wants to keep shareholders happy. They increase shareholder satisfaction. They are trying to influence the market price of shares by increasing dividends. How do they do that? Remember, if you invest in a company, you want dividends. So if they get a lot of dividends, like in this case, they get 107.8% of the earnings, it's paid out as dividends, né? Which means other people who also, they have a lot of money that they also want to invest. What will they say? Yo, I want to invest in this company. They pay out a lot of dividends. So therefore, the demand for the shares will increase, and if the demand for shares increase, the market price will also increase. Okay, equalizing dividends over several years. Some years they pay out a little percentage because they want to keep back a lot of the profit for maybe they want to expand or something. The next year or 2 years after that, they pay out a lot of high dividend payout rate. So over several years, it equalizes. Okay. In this case, if they pay out more than 100%, they do not plan for future expansions. Okay, and the company had sufficient reserves from previous years. Maybe previous years they've, sorry for all the animals, né? In previous years they've paid out less, a smaller percentage. Now they have a lot of money available. Okay, let's go to 3.4. Are you fine with dividend payout rate? It is in 90% of question papers. You will find dividend payout rate, né? Okay, shareholding and repurchase decision making. Okay, so grade 12, when you see those words percentage shareholding, you must realize here is maybe, in most cases, there's something about majority shareholding. So what is majority shareholding? If one shareholder owns 51% of the total shares, or in some cases it is 50% plus one share, and remember that they have to buy shares in bundles of 100, né? So normally we say majority shareholder who owns more than 50% or at least 51%. Okay, calculate the number of new shares that Denzel purchased on the 31st of July. So let's see what's going on with Denzel. What did they say about Denzel? The shareholding of Denzel Kraus in Venus Limited. Percentage shareholding on 29 February 2024. It's 45%. Is he a majority shareholder on 29 February 2024? No, he's not a majority shareholder, né? Because he did not own more than 50%. At that stage, no, on the number of shares owned on 28 February 2025, it's 494,000. Okay, so let's see. In issue on 29 February 2024, the number of shares in issue, it was 900,000 rand. So take your calculator, then you calculate quickly how much is 45% of 900,000 rand. Okay, I'm going to give you 1 second so that I can close the door for all my animals. Sorry, now. Okay, how much is 45% of 900,000 rand? How would you calculate it? So 900,000 times 45%, it's 405,000 shares, né? So on 29 February 2024, he owned 4,000 and how much? 405,000 shares, né? Now they said at the end of February 2025, he owned 494,000. Originally it was 405,000, so he bought 89,000 shares. Okay. Then they say calculate Denzel's shareholding on 28 February 2025. So they gave you the 494,000. And they gave you the 950,000 shares in total. So his percentage now is 52%. So without reading the next question, you can assume now they will ask you something about this 52%. Now Denzel owes more than 50% of the total shares. Therefore, now he is a majority shareholder. Grade 12, remember, even let's say you were not able to calculate that amount, you couldn't find it, né? Then put anything there, divide it by the correct answer, do your correct calculation, because then you can get this one and you can get this mark here. Okay? But please make sure that you complete your calculations. Do not only, when you do the in the workings column and now you see, okay, no, I'm not sure if this is correct. It doesn't matter, calculate the answer. Okay? And then what is important, the numerator and the denominator must be marked as such. So you cannot swap the two and then think you will earn marks, you will earn nothing, okay? And then what I want to read this to you. Do not award marks for any operations done to standalone figures. In other words, if you're supposed to use 494,000 here, don't add something. Okay? Otherwise, you will not earn the mark there. Okay, let's go to the next question. The independent auditor discovered that Denzel had made the decision to repurchase the shares from the estate of a deceased relative on the 1st of December 2024 without informing the board of directors. Now let's make sure who is Denzel. Let's go back. Let's go back. Can you remember who's Denzel? Denzel was appointed as the Chief Financial Officer. He's also a shareholder. Grade 12s, when you see something like this, when an office bearer in a company is a shareholder, you can assume there will be a question on that because it makes it difficult because now he has inside information that other people or other shareholders or other investors, they don't have that information, okay? So when you read your question, you must start to think, what are they going to ask on this? You will see this very often. Sometimes it is the director who is also a shareholder or the director's wife is a shareholder, okay? So let's see what do they ask here. The independent auditor discovered that Denzel had made the decision to repurchase the shares from the estate of a deceased relative. Why should the independent auditor be concerned about this? Give one reason. Okay, can you remember what is an independent auditor? He's not working for the business. He's working for an accounting company or an auditor's firm, and they do external audits. According to the Companies Act, all public companies must be audited by independent auditors. So they are not working for the business. They come in, they do an audit, and they give an unbiased opinion. Okay. So in this case, one valid reason. Okay, so since the end of 25, this part marks for incomplete, partial, unclear responses. There was not even one question where we got this part mark section. So it was either 2 or 0. So you must make sure that you write a proper answer. Okay. Unethical. And for unethical alone, you will not earn a mark. Okay. You have to write something, you have to explain. Unethical, as Denzel is taking advantage as the majority shareholder, this creates potential conflict of interest. Remember now, he's the CFO, and now he's the majority shareholder. Ne? What is nepotism? Nepotism is when you when you misuse your family ties, or you appoint someone because they are family or because they are close friends of you. Okay, nepotism, as Denzel has favored his relative estate by paying 12 Rand per share. Why is this a problem? Let us go to our information here. Let us see here. New shares issued on the 31st of July for 10 Rand 50, and now he repurchased, the business repurchased, the company repurchased the shares at 12 Rand, which is more than this amount that the shares were issued earlier in the year. Okay. This is not procedural. One person cannot determine buyback prices. Shareholders may lodge a dispute, as this action could be a breach of the company's policies. This decision was not fair and transparent. Now remember, what does buyback of shares means? It means someone they don't want their shares anymore, or there's an estate of a deceased person, and now the company, they buy that shares back. So there's less shares in issue now. Okay, the moment there's less shares in issue, it means that immediately the rest of the shareholders, their percentage will change as well. Okay. Any question on this? Okay, I think we did that thoroughly. Let's go back to the question paper. So we did, remember now, when you see the word shareholding, repurchase, what will you think of? Of majority shareholding name. Okay, then we go to 3.5. Now 3.5, when you see the words, okay, there's a question. Yes, you can ask. You can unmute and ask.
Hi, Efro.
Yes.
Kutliso Daniels here, Mrs. Peters.
Hello, Efro.
I've got a learner here who wants to find out on the issue just mentioned about buying back of shares. We
Yes.
sold those shares at 10 Rand, but now when they're being bought back, I think you said 12 Rand, if I'm not mistaken.
Let me just see. I think it's 12 Rand. Let's see. It's 12 Rand. Yes, ma'am.
And then you mentioned about the fact that it is in breach of the company's policy.
Yes.
She's got a question on why do you say it's in breach of the company's policy? Why are we buying back shares at 12 Rand, but we sold them at 10 Rand? Like the difference in the amounts, the other one was less, but now we're buying them back at more.
Yeah, so that's why it is, because now he's the chief financial officer, ne? So what does he do now? He offered, he said, okay, the company will buy it back at 12 Rand, ne? Because it is his relative's estate. Instead of saying, okay, we will pay 10 Rand 50, which is the price that we've issued shares for. Now he's unethical by saying, okay, I know it's my family, ne? So I want to enrich my family now. So therefore I say the company will pay 12 Rand. Remember, he's not the one who's paying the 12 Rand. Ne? He's using the company's money to pay his relative's estate. So his family will earn more than they were supposed to earn.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. I'll
explain. I hope I explained it. Is he understanding the learner?
I'm understanding you better now, so I'll be able to explain it to her even more better.
Okay. Thank you. Ne? Okay, that's why they say it's nepotism. There you say it's the may lodge a dispute, as this action could be a breach of the company's policies. Okay, so the other problem is that in a company there's policies regarding, in the memorandum of incorporation, they're supposed to have a clear section there that states clearly the office bearers, what are they allowed to do? Are they allowed to have shares? Are they allowed to do? And remember now, if they buy back shares, one person alone, they can't take that decision. So maybe that's as well a reason why shareholders might feel that it's a breach of the company's policies. Okay, any other questions? Let's go to gearing and risk. Grade 12, when you see the words gearing, when you see the word risk, when you see the word loan, without thinking, you must be able to know there's two ratios when you see the words gearing, risk, loan. Which two ratios do we use with gearing, risk, loan? Can anyone tell us, tell your teacher, the two ratios that we use when we see the words gearing and risk? Without thinking, you must know. When you get a paper, you see the words gearing and risk, or you see the word loan, then you must be able to know the two financial indicators. Okay, let's read what they say. The directors of Venus Limited, remember directors, they are the managers, né? Want to expand the business by opening more branches in other provinces. Explain why you would recommend that they should not borrow more money. So here we see borrow. So borrow, then we know it is a loan. So something must indicate to us that we must not borrow more money. We don't want more loans. Quote two financial indicators with figures. Okay, so did you tell your teacher which two financial indicators we associate with gearing, risk, and loan? I'm sure that you all know. The first one is debt equity, né? So, and the other one is return on total capital employed. And if we see total capital employed return, then we must also know we must compare that with what? With the interest rate of the loan. Okay, so let's start here. There we see interest rate of the loan. There we see debt equity ratio. There we see return on average capital employed. In some papers they say return on total capital employed. In others they will use the words return on average capital employed. Okay, now let's start with debt equity ratio. What does debt equity ratio mean? Let's go here to our financial indicator formula sheet. Where do we see debt equity? Where do we see debt equity? You must know where's debt equity, né? Debt equity, debt equity. There's a blue one, eh? Debt equity. So what's the formula for debt equity? Non-current liabilities, which is our loan. On school level, it's only the loan. And shareholders' equity. Grade 12, so what's shareholders' equity? Shareholders' equity, it's ordinary share capital plus retained income. Remember, it's the whole equity. Yeah, so it's shareholders' equity, it's ordinary share capital plus retained income. So that is the one. And then we have here return on total capital employed. In other words, what is the return on the equity plus the loan? We use the equity of the shareholders and we got a loan. And how much did we get on that loan? Remember, if I borrow money from the bank at 10%, and now I use that money, I run a business, I bought new, in this case they want to open new branches, or I bought machinery, and now I run the business. I borrowed the money at 10%. Now my return on that money, in other words, what I make out of that shareholders' equity and out of that loan, if it's not more than 10%, then I'm in reverse. And then I have negative gearing. Then I didn't use that loan very well. Now I have to pay 10%, but I only earn 8%. So where will I get the other 2%? Okay? So I'm supposed to pay 10% to the bank, but I'm supposed to have more left for myself as well. Otherwise, I didn't use that loan, or I made a mess with that loan. Okay, in plain English, my best English on a Wednesday afternoon. Eh? Okay, so let's see then. Let's go back here. I said debt equity return. Now you must know return on average capital employed. I must compare that with the interest on the loan. Okay. So we pay as a company, we pay 12% per annum. But we earn 8,2%. Yo. So we have 3,8% less. Where are they going to get that 3,8%? The difference between what they have to pay and what they earn on the loan and the equity, 8,2%. Can they borrow more money? The bank will not give them more loans because they're not even able to pay this loan of 12%. They will not be able to pay the loan. The interest, we not even talk about the capital part of the loan. Okay, so what do we have here? Debt equity ratio, percentage return on total capital employed. My dear child, when you see the words gearing, risk, loan, quote these two figures. You must be able to quote them even though if you don't know where to find the figures or the explanation, then at least quote the two financial indicators. Then debt equity increased from 0,8 or from 0,5 to 0,8. Last year, for every R1 that the owners contributed, we owed 50 cents. This year, for every R1, we owe 80 cents. So now the financial risk has increased. The company is more reliant on debt finance to finance its operations. So there's a higher risk, and a higher risk, you can also say higher gearing. Okay? In other words, you are driving fast on the road now, and then there's a bigger risk for you to make an accident. Okay, so that's debt equity. When we look at the percentage return on average capital employed, what did we say? We must compare return on total capital employed with what? With the interest on the loan. So if you say decrease from 9,5% to 8,2%, it decreased by 1,3 percentage points. You must make sure. Mathematically, it's incorrect to say it decreased by 1,3%. Remember, how do we calculate the difference in percentage? We take the difference on the original, multiply by 100. Ne? So it's easier for you to say, instead of taking your calculator and calculate the mathematically correct percentage change, you can say there's a decrease of 1,3 percentage points. And I don't want any one of you here to not use percentage points. You have to use percentage points. The company is negatively geared. Return on total capital is lower than the 12% interest rate using loans ineffectively. Remember now we have high gearing and low gearing. So here in debt equity ratio, we talk about high gearing, and low gearing. This one here, it's low. It was a low risk. Now it's higher. Then in percentage return on average capital employed, we talk about positive and negative gearing. By getting a new loan, you are in a negative gear because you pay 12% interest on something and you only make 8,2%. The other option of financing the proposed expansions is to issue more shares. So you can either, remember debt equity, where do businesses get their money from? Either from shareholders' equity or from liabilities. Now in this case, they say it's not a good idea to take out a new loan. The other option of financing the proposed expansions is to issue more shares. Explain how this will benefit the company. Provide 2 points. So the first thing is, let's look here. If we issue more shares, then the debt equity ratio will decrease again and we will have a lower risk. Okay, so that is the second bullet. The capital raise does not have to be repaid to the shareholders. Remember, if you borrow money from a bank or any financial institution, you have to pay back the money and you have to pay interest. Okay, you don't have a choice. If you don't pay it, they will come and they will take your assets. But if the owners contribute money, there's no law that say or no act that says that they have to pay the dividends, okay, or they have to buy back the shares. So if they issue shares, dividends will only be declared if the company can afford to do so. You don't have a choice, you have to pay the interest on the loan. Okay? No interest is paid and this will improve the profits. So they don't have to pay dividends. They can if they have a profit, but they have to pay the interest. So it's a better option. Is it always a better option? If your return on total capital employed is much more than your loan's interest, then it's good to use the money of the bank to improve your business or to expand your business. So it's not always bad to borrow money. If you use that money effectively, the loan, then it is good to borrow money because you are able to pay the money back and you have extra money after you've paid your interest. So then it is not a bad thing to borrow money to expand your business, but you have to use it effectively. Okay, share value. We're almost done. If we don't finish in time, I won't keep you longer than 3:30. Okay. Explain why the shareholders. Okay, now I do exactly what you're not supposed to do. I read on the question paper, on the answer book. Where must we read? We must read on the question paper. Why? Sometimes they give you information on the question paper that's not on the answer book. Okay. Share value. Explain why the shareholder should not be satisfied with the share price of the company at the end of the financial year. Now, if you see the word share value, so you get a market price. What is the market price of shares? That's the price that people are willing to pay on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange if they want to buy the shares. Okay, so and then you get the net asset value. Let's see what do they have here. There's the market price. Let me change the color of the pen. Okay, there's the market price. What does market price mean? It means that on the JSE, people are willing to pay, or investors or shareholders or anyone who wants to invest in this company, they are willing to pay 1,000 cents per share on the 28th of February 2025. On the 29th of February 2024, they were willing to pay 1,030 cents. Good. Then you get the net asset value, NAV, or the NAV. Your teacher will talk about the NAV. Now, what does NAV means? It means if we sell all the assets of the company, we pay all the liabilities, what is left per share that the shareholders will get back? So if this business on the 28th of February 2025, if we stop the business on that day, we sell all the assets, we pay all the liabilities, we have 1,025 cents left per share. Okay? And now people are willing to pay 1,000 shares for something that's worth 1,025 cents. Okay? They want to pay for let's say a Suzuki Swift, but they want a Mercedes. Okay? They're willing to pay 1,000 cents for something that's worth 1,025 cents. Last year, they were willing to pay 1,030 cents for something that's worth 1,060 cents. So why won't people want to pay for something the worth of 1,025 cents? Why don't they want to pay that? They only want to pay 1,000 cents. Let's see. Explain why the shareholders should not be satisfied with the share prices of the company at the end of the financial year. Quote 2 relevant financial indicators and other related data. Okay, so if we talk about share value, share price, you quote the net asset value, you quote the market price. Okay, so let's start with net asset value. Net asset value per share decreased from 1060 to 1025 by 35 cents or by 3.3%. By 3.3%, it's the difference on the original. Let's see if this is true. Net asset value, it decreases from 1060 to 1025. Market price per share decreased from 1030 to 1000 cents by 30 cents for 4 marks. The market price of 1000 cents it's lower than the net asset value per share. So you could only compare the net asset value with the market price, and then you would get 4 marks instead of comparing net asset values with each other and market price with each other. Now I can tell you as a marker that if you compare net asset value of the 1 year with the other year and market price of 1 year with the other year, you would not earn the full 4 marks. They want you to know that you must compare the market price, in other words, what people are willing to pay with what the shares are, that the value of the shares are. Okay. Now let's go to the last 2 questions. Or 3.7. Let me quickly get there. Explain renewal of the CFO's contract. Explain one reason why any company should appoint a suitably qualified person as the chief financial officer. I don't think that's difficult, no? It's an important job. They must run the finances of the company. So we want them to be qualified. 1 valid point for 2 marks. Develop sound financial strategies. Ensure that the company complies with financial regulations. They are instrumental in identifying financial risks. You can use this question to go and study what is the role of a financial officer to prevent fraud and mismanagement of funds. Learners, if you do a question like this, please write something. In most cases, you will earn marks if you write something. Don't leave these questions open. I would say the easiest one would be to say, should appoint a suitable qualified person with relevant knowledge. I will choose this one. With relevant knowledge as the CFO, they will make decisions concerning all aspects of the company's finances. How can you run a company's finances if you are not qualified with the relevant knowledge? Okay, then they say apart from factors and financial indicators covered in questions 3.2 to 3.6, quote and explain 2 financial indicators why you feel that Denzel's contract should not be renewed. In other words, financial indicators that show that Denzel did not do a good job. Okay, so what I would recommend you do whenever you do these types of questions, if you use that one, just make a tick there. I've used this one, I used this one, I used this one, and so on. You tick all the financial indicators that you used, and then you see which indicators did I not use, and then you quote them. Okay, so here is this one we didn't use the return on average shareholders equity. Remember, when you have money, you can either put it in the bank with low risk. Um, you will find your money there at the bank when you go back, or you can take your money and you can invest in a company. You can buy shares in a company. So in this case, an interest rate on investments, if they've used their money and they've put it into a bank or a financial institution in a fixed deposit, the interest that they will receive, it was 7%. But the shareholders, they bought shares and they only earned 4.5%. Will you be satisfied with that? You could earn 7% without the risk, but now you earn 4.5%. I won't be satisfied now. So that will be definitely one that we can quote. Let's see. Return on shareholders' equity. That one. Earnings per share. We didn't use that one. And solvency ratio. Okay. Do not accept operating expenses on sales. The shareholders, they will be more interested in their earnings and their shareholders' equity. Be aware of relevant indicators not used in 8.3, excluding positive trends. Remember, you can't quote something with a positive trend because you don't want to renew his contract. So let's quickly go and see the operating expenses. Expenses on sales. We want our expenses to be as low as possible on sales. We want to have as much money left as profit. So what happened here? The expenses decreased from 22.7 to 18.3. It's a good thing, né? That we had less expenses on sales than the previous year. So we cannot use this as a reason to say, no, we're not going to appoint you again. So that's why they say don't use that one. Okay? So you must read carefully. What do they ask? And then you answer on that. Okay, so we are on 3:30 now. I think your taxis, they are waiting now, or your parents waiting outside the school. Any questions? Nothing? We are looking forward to a very good mark, high percentage pass rate in Sarah Baartman this term. We want all our schools to have 100% pass rate, and I really hope that we will get there. Yes, ma'am, someone wants to, yes, I see a hand.
Yes, ma'am. I just want to take this opportunity, Mrs. Van Neysden, to say thank you very much for this session. I know me and my school joined in a bit later because of connection issues. However, I'm looking at my learners now and you presenting and doing the calculations. They are nodding with insight, nodding with more clarity. I would swear
Thank you, ma'am.
I would swear they have to have you as a teacher more than me. Uh, it means that now whatever I planted is being revived through the session. So I want to thank on behalf of my learners and me myself especially that thank you for this session. It did make a difference. It will make a difference some way in those
Thank you,
level,
ma'am.
even the level
Thank you. I
5.
really appreciate it. And I really pray for all our learners in Sarah Baartman that we will get good marks and then that they will get the rewards for all the effort that they put in. I know you can log off if you want to. I just want you to make a calculation quickly. If you started school in grade R, up until the end of this year, you will have, I think it's 156 months now, of which only 7 is left now. So I think you must make that calculation and then you must take some strength from it and know that in this 7 months left, you can make a difference and you can make all the other months a success, or you can, yeah. So I would like to encourage you, if you didn't do well in the first term, it's not too late now. Okay, so it's really not too late now. Use all your opportunities. I have faith in all my teachers here in Sarah Baartman. I know they know what they do. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. There's Sunday Salwazi. Yes, ma'am?
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Hello, my dear.
Is Sunny Sulwazi High School. Would you please repeat for us the difference between market price and net asset value?
I will do so, ma'am. Okay, I think I must get it. Those of you who want to, that needs to go, you can go now, it's fine. Ma'am, let me just clean this page now, then I will do it quickly. Sorry. Okay, so a public company in South Africa, né? Most public companies, they are registered on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. Ne? So on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, if you have money that you you inherit from someone, or you had a business and you made some money, um, you can either take that money and you can put it in in different investments. You can buy a house, you can buy, or for what we do in accounting, we say you can either put it in an investment, in other words, in the bank, or you can use that money to buy shares in a public company like Checkers or Pick n Pay. There's a lot of like MTN, Vodacom, in Absa, Standard Bank. You can buy shares and then you become an owner of one of those companies. So the place where you buy that shares is the JSE, Johannesburg Stock Exchange, and the price there, what we pay there for shares, we call that the market price. Okay. So this price, the market price, it's determined by the demand and the, now my English is depleted, the demand and the supply of shares. The more people want shares, the higher the price will be, because people are willing to pay a higher price. It's demand and supply. So that is the market price on the JSE that people pay there for the shares. Okay, if the company is doing good, if they pay out a lot of dividends, then people will say, okay, I want some of those shares. So more people will want to buy the shares and the price will increase. So the market price, it's really it's determined by how investors, how they see the company. Okay, if they want the shares, then the market price will be high. Okay, if they don't want the shares, the market price will be low. Okay, that's the market price. So let's go to the net asset value. Okay, so let's say we have assets. Let me take this one here. Let me go there. We have assets. Okay, assets equals equity plus liabilities. Now our equity, that is the money that the owners will get back when we sell the business. Okay, when we stop this business, we will take all the assets. So we will take all the assets, we will pay all the liabilities, and what is left then will be our equity. So that is just, almost in maths, if we take the liabilities to the other side of the equation, then it becomes a minus. So we take all our assets, we minus our liabilities, and what's left is our equity. So if we close down this company, the owners, they will receive this amount of the equity. Okay. So if we take the equity, the total equity, and we divide that by the number of shares. So let's say there's 5,000. We took all the assets, we sell them, we paid the liabilities, so we have left 50,000 rand. Okay, and the number of shares issued, it is, let's say it is 10,000 shares in issue. So that will give us, I think, 5 rand, ne? So for every share that you have, you will receive 5 rand. Okay? We took all the assets, we sold it, we paid all the liabilities, and then what's left is our equity. So this equity must be divided between the shareholders. And this is only an example, né? So let's say after we've took our assets, we paid our liabilities, we are left with 50,000 rand. So whose money is this 50,000 rand? It's the owners, né? In a company's case, it's the shareholders. So it's divided into 10,000 shares. Okay? So for every share you will then get 5 rand. And that 5 rand is our net asset value. Net, what does net means? It means something is subtracted from something. Ne? So therefore, we took our assets, we minus our liabilities. So what are left? The net assets are left. Okay? In other words, what's left after we pay our liabilities. And now we divide that by the number of shares. And then we say the net asset value per share is 5 rand. So if you owe 100 shares and we close down this business, we took the assets, we pay all the liabilities, then there's 50,000 left. We divide it between the 10,000 shares. You have 100 shares. So you will get 100 rand times 5, which is then 500 rand that you will get when we close down this business. Okay, so in this case, if we close down this business now, what's left is 1025 cents per share. So if we take all the assets, we minus all the liabilities, what's left per share? 1025 cents. Okay, so people in this case, they want to pay 1000 cents, knowing if the business closed down, they will get 1025 cents. Okay, so why don't they want to pay that 1025 cents? They are scared of this business because maybe, I think they will be scared about this return, which is low, for instance. Ne? So if the market price is less than what it is valued, it is because people, they don't have a good attitude, or they don't think that this business will do good in future. Ma'am, I hope I explained it now.
Yes, ma'am.
If they want to ask something, they can ask, ne? Do they want to ask something, ma'am?
Come again, ma'am?
Yes, my darling. Are you fine?
I'm fine, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. Okay, I will look for more videos on the explanations of net asset value, and then I will also send it to your teachers and on the group, okay?
All right.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Enjoy your day, ne? Okay, thank you.